And a lot of the people that we talked to were basically like, they were on tour in effect, right? Where they were going to everything, like event after event after event. And at the time we were watching that happen, and we had our own experiences going to conventions being like, this didn't really seem to add up to anything. And then we would talk to those people about just the sheer amount of time and money they were spending doing this stuff, and be like, does this add up?
How
and
is
they
it
could
worth
never
it?
give us an answer that felt like it did.
Hey everybody, welcome to episode 567 of Coffee with Butterscotch, the weekly podcast for indie game developers. I'm Seth and I'm the games programmer.
I'm Madam Musical Linux Programmer.
I'm Sam and I'm shoulder dancing.
And we are Butterscotch Shenanigans, and today is April 3rd, 2020. Quick!
Yeah.
Also, episode 567 is pretty nice little string of digits.
567.
Pretty nice.
Yeah.
6-7?
I guess the next one would be 678.
Yep.
789. So we got a couple of years between each. But we'll get there.
Clearly, we're here for the long
made it-
haul. That's a
we made
fucking
it this
lot of
far.
episodes.
We got so many fucking episodes of this podcast. Okay, well, first of all, before we get into our topics for today, which we'll be talking about PAX East, which we came back from. We'll be talking about LudoKit. But we also got a donation and a message from somebody through our Ko-Fi, or coffee, or however you want to pronounce it. Now, this is you can find the links to that over at podcast.bscotch.net. But the message comes from David Snowpeck, who says, "Hey bros, I'm a Godot maintainer. You've talked about how game engines do a bad job with UI, which we have talked about a lot. Did you know that the Godot editor, which is used to build Godot games, is itself built in Godot? So while Godot's UI framework isn't perfect, it's at least good enough to build a Godot editor." Yeah, so it is the case that Godot does solve a lot of UI problems. A lot.
We just went and looked after this because we were like,
As far as we could tell from the outside, because until you've used a thing, you don't really know,
yeah, of course,
how
of course.
well does it.
The integration just, but it looks like it has support for BB code out of the box. So all that problem we're talking about bolding and italics and stuff. Maybe it's in there.
Yeah,
and
you don't got to code that up yourself like a weirdo.
Yeah, and then you could anchor stuff, and it's got like layouts and things. So I mean, I don't know. So pretty dope.
Yeah, Game Maker recently added sort of a frames based kind of thing. That's kind of similar to like what we have with our own sort of custom cake frames. Our own is a lot more flexible than what Game Maker added, because I think Game Maker tends to, well, first of all, it's not open source, so the rate of feature addition is going to be different than something like Godot. And so, but yeah, Game Maker has the benefit, like it kind of has the benefit of it's much easier to go out to consoles and stuff because it's not open source, right? And so there's kind of like there's kind of pros and cons. But of course, also we have our 14-year-old tech stack in Game Maker of all the things that we've done. So, but yeah, I mean, and also Slay the Spire 2 was made in Godot, probably partially because it has much better UI stuff, and like Slay the Spire is very
well. I think it's a direct response to when Unity was pulling all their bullshit a couple years ago. They were like, "We're out," and they just rebuilt it from scratch in Godot, which honestly is impressive because that means they had to. I mean, that was probably halfway through their project. They were like, "Man, just do it again."
Maybe that's a good launch point into the PAX East stuff, because that was one of the big things we noticed while we were there, which was the sheer number of Godot games.
Fascinating.
A lot of Godot games.
Yeah. And there were about 20 Game Maker games, which nobody really advertises their engine, or not that many people do. You just have to kind of like ask, or
once you reveal that you're a dev and you're talking shop a bit, people typically will tell you what's under the hood. What's running.
But before we get into the PAX stuff, I do want to quickly mention where LudoKit is at. So LudoKit, for those who are first coming into the podcast, LudoKit is our service that we're developing. It's a web service that developers can use to assist with all different aspects of publishing your game. Essentially, it covers a lot of the administrative overhead that comes along with that. So whether that's like accumulating and collecting and sort of organizing people's names for the credits for the game, which you have to make sure that you do, as well as handling promo art and kind of pooling all of your links and everything, and we're working like marketing copy, and we plan
it's basically a tool that distills our experience in like 15 years into something.
It's the self-publishing toolkit, so it's just got all the stuff that you need.
Yeah, and so it's still an internal tool that Adam is is spearheading in our studio, and we're using it to help us with How Many Dudes development. But we do want to open it up to other devs at some point after we launch How Many Dudes. But in the meantime, we gotta get some feedback on it, and so we're going to be sending out early access invites to the thing for free. At least before at this point, and we'll be doing that sometime soon. We don't know exactly when.
Yeah, it'll basically be my plan right now is every time I think something is, I'm like, ooh, I got it. It's all wrapped up in a bow. Then I learned something. I'm like, oh, do I need to do something about that?
Yeah,
but the latest feature, the credits manager, is at this point nearly feature complete, with the exception that you can't actually export your credits after you got them. But of course, you need to be able to do that to put them in your game. So there's like that piece that's missing, and which is what I'm trying to wrap up right now. But once that's done, so it's a full service experience, you can actually like make your credits and export them. Then I want to onboard a handful of people who need to deal with their credits to try it out. So that'll be kind of the next call I'm going to put out, to just say, hey, anybody who like right now wants to work on the credits and test this thing out, I want to get some feedback on it. And so I'll just be doing that via the LudoKit Discord. So if you do at one of these points where I have an early access call where I'm like, hey, I need 5 people or whatever to test this. If you want to make sure you know about that, be in the Discord, because that's the easiest, fastest way to do it.
We'll find below.
Yeah, you can also find it at ludokit.com. There's a link at the bottom. So
that's LUDOKIT, ludokit.com.
Ludokit.com.
Yeah. So jump in that Discord. Stay tuned in the coming weeks.
I don't know. Who knows?
It might even have already happened for this first call, but by the time this episode goes out, it's hard to say, because we're just doing stuff when it makes the most sense. And right now we're not looking for large numbers of people, so that's why it's like, well, whoever's in the Discord,
get in there.
If 3 people are like, yeah, I could try it out, and then they do, then that might be enough, for now.
Yep.
So
we don't need a ton.
Yep.
But yeah, if you think that might be helpful to you, and for your, and also it's not like we'll be saying, oh yeah, come and try this thing, but also we're gonna like delete all your data. The point is for it to be useful to you.
Yeah.
While you're trying it, right? So,
at this phase, we're making 0 guarantees, that like everything will turn out the way we would hope. But I'll be doing everything I can to make it likely that your stuff doesn't get lost. And I'm doing all the things I should be doing.
We're using it too, so we're trying. We don't want to lose shit. Also,
yeah. But I also will not make any guarantees that I'll pull it off, because that's stuff that gets built in over time.
You just leave that beta tag on there for, I think, Minecraft.
Honestly, that's the plan. Right now, it just says pre-alpha on it right now, but I'm gonna have it just it'll say beta for like 3 years.
Gmail was in beta for like 10 years
or more. I think. Yeah.
I kind of know it's not done yet.
Yeah,
that's the plan. Yeah, but that's the advantage too of only having a small number of people like trying it out, is that if something
if
goes
you trip
wrong,
over one of those, you're like, okay,
I can go manually recover something or whatever. So just there's already backups, like all that stuff is in place, and so
if you want it, get in there.
So if you want it, get in. It'll help, or I guess be ready to get in, right?
Yeah.
And the idea is it should dramatically improve your turnaround time for some of these things. So
and we'll
the
just
credits thing, for example.
Over time.
The last thing I added for the credits, just as an example of what this is about, is now you have the ability to create a self-invite link to your credits for your game, where you just create a link, share it with people, and then all they have to do is log into LudoKit, follow the link, and then they can add themselves to your credits, right? So if you felt like managing your credits is a pain in the ass, how would you like to be able to just put a link,
anytime you
in
work
your
with somebody,
Discord?
Yeah, you work with somebody on your game, just be like,
send them a link.
Here's a link for my credits, so you can add yourself. And then if they're not in the credits, it's their fault. No,
that's their problem. You did your due diligence.
You did your job. Yeah. So so then let's talk about PAX. So so we went to PAX East. This was the first time we've been to an in-person convention, conference, any kind of big event since, I want to say, 2019.
Yeah, it was 2019.
Which means
we went to GC in 2019, but I don't know if we went. I don't remember if we went to anything else.
I don't think we did. Well, maybe we did. It was.
I might have gone to DICE in 2020, which was in February, right before the shutdown. I might have done that.
Because we also did some stuff for Levelhead in 2018 or 19. It must have been
we were in big Levelhead promo mode in 2019, so it's possible that we went some other stuff. But yeah, roughly it's been 6 to 7 years.
7 years
since we've been to one of these things. And the impetus. So we've talked in the past about the usefulness of GDC and whether or not it's worth the money and all that stuff. But in our case, one of the big things is we've just been working remote since COVID started, and getting all three of us in the same room, away from the computer screen and in an environment that's all about game stuff. Then it just kind of gets the gears turning, and we almost think about it more like a retreat. Where we just we're just out there, and we're also just wanting to see what's going on.
Let's get a pulse check on a very ground floor level, right? Talk to other devs, see what's even happening, who is showing, who's able to show right now, what kind of things are they showing, and even seeing trends in terms of where are people, at least in convention floor space, where are people gravitating, right now. And that sort of thing. So yeah, it's almost like a market research thing, I guess, in a way, right? Just kind of getting a pulse on a very where the indies at.
Yeah. And naturally, and we understand that this is a biased pulse check because,
of course,
what we see on the East Coast at PAX East is actually kind of a different set of things than what we've seen on the West Coast, in terms of which companies are making their presence known, how many indies there are versus bigger games, the proportion of tabletop stuff versus video games. There's a lot of nuances there, and some of that does have to do with just travel time, right? There's a lot of game studios in California, right, and on the West Coast and stuff like that, and so it's an easier trip for them to go demo at PAX West than it is for PAX East, and stuff like that. So bearing all that in mind, there were a couple of interesting kind of patterns that we saw.
What's the takeaways? What's the high level vibes, I guess, from PAX East for us?
So I'd say first of all, if you were to say okay, which companies are winning in games right now? Who are the big winners? And for me, it was obviously Steam and Wizards of the Coast. So basically, half of PAX East is video games, and the other half is tabletop games. The video game half, every fucking game is coming to Steam.
Yes.
Yep. There was maybe a couple of mobile games.
Only one mobile only game I saw, I think.
Yeah. And there, there's games that we're playing with controller and stuff, and be we're coming to console, but nobody's only coming to console.
And they're not advertising that first either, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And there were no Xbox games also coming to Steam. It was all Steam games.
And then every one of them usually had a QR code that didn't go to a website to then pick where you want to get the game. Right, it was just a QR code to the Steam wishlist page. Right,
everybody's farming wishlists, because again, it's honestly just such a great mechanism. The fact that you can start promoting your game, and if somebody's interested, they can just put their name on a list, and they will be getting updates about the game. I mean, it's just perfect, right?
It underlines the point too, because we complain about this all the time, but we also complain to our platform partners all the time for all the non-Steam platforms that, hey, you all don't understand the concept of a wish list. What are you doing?
This feature,
because this is also part of how they lose out on mind share and market share for gamers, right? Is because if I'm going to go do a booth for my game somewhere, and I'm okay, what do I do top billing to get the most effect out of this? If I advertise Steam, everybody's on Steam, so big market, right? Put a big QR code up, so they don't have to make a decision. there's a thing they can go zoom into, right? And then I can capture them in the way they want to be captured, right? Because they're just cool, wish list, and then they move on, right?
Because they saw the game, now they want the game. So when they wish list
any other platform,
signing up for that.
Why would I put Xbox up there if there's no move I can make as a viewer of the booth
to bank that traction?
Yeah,
right?
There's nothing that can happen, because all you can do is be oh, cool, I guess it's coming to Xbox. What do you do with information? Literally nothing. So why would somebody advertise it except to be oh, by the way, for those of you who hope it comes on Xbox too, right? Then just so you know, it will be, right? Yeah. But there's nothing you can capture there, and so of course all these other companies.
And the insane thing about this, like I keep kind of like rolling around in my brain. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
What's the hang up? Yeah.
Where so for example, because like you can't do wish lists on iOS, but you can do
pre-orders,
but not in the normal human way that you would think about a pre. Like if I pre-order the next WoW expansion, what do? I pay for it now
at the time of the pre-order.
I have it, and I've paid for it, and then when the game comes out, I've got it. But I've already paid for it when I'm putting my pre-order. Mm-hmm. On iOS, you just say like, "Hey, charge my credit card on the day this game comes out and deliver it to my device," but don't do it until then, which puts people in a position where you have to like think about. Well, you don't even know what the launch date necessarily is exactly. Like it might move around or something. It means like you're just going to be charged whatever the price of the game will be at launch. Who knows?
Because also for a paid game on iOS, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain. For a paid game, if you do a pre-order, because we did this with Crashlands 2, there's no price shown. Right.
Correct.
So people just say,
charge me. Yeah, I don't know. Right. We'll have to double check on that.
Yeah, I'll have to double check, but I'm pretty sure the price is.
It's not shown. It's not shown when you go to click the pre-order. I think it's shown then, like in a following.
It must be shown.
Yeah,
it's before you get charged, I assume somewhere, right? But
it doesn't show it. It doesn't show it in like the slug. That's like the pre-order.
Yeah, well, I think it's because Google Play has a similar mechanism, right? They call it. What do they call it? Bookmarking?
Registration.
Or no, they have actually two different systems. They have bookmarking and pre-registration. Bookmarking is the closest anybody else has to Wishlist because they survive a game's release, right? Mm-hmm. But they're fully self-managed. They're like Google doesn't do anything with it to be like, oh, hey, this game you bookmarked came out. Here's an email being like, hey, this game you wanted came out. It doesn't do any of that. So it's basically for you to self-manage your stuff.
Yeah.
So
they have all kinds of like timing rules too of like when you can start opening up. So again, it's like, what are we doing? Why do we make Google Play so fucking complicated?
Google Play recommends that I can't remember what the max is, but they recommend that you, whatever their max is, that you don't put up your store page until
3 months on Google and 6 months on iOS.
Yeah, it's 3 months max, but Google Play is like, hey, but you shouldn't until it's like 6 weeks for some reason.
All you need is 6 weeks to build up an audience to market your game. Super easy.
I don't understand what it is.
And so and we're kind of out of the console game long enough that I don't even know what's going on over there. So
you can do wish lists on Xbox. I don't know exactly how they function in terms of like emailing on launch and stuff like that, but I do know that it's an opt-in thing. You have to go talk to someone and apply to put wish lists onto your game.
Of course, because everybody's just being weird about it.
Sure,
it's like why is that the hardest thing?
To me,
but wish lists are the most useful when you have a store page up before a game comes out, right? And I think it's the other thing is that the store, like the stores themselves, have to have some kind of a culture of that, right? Steam for forever has been a place where a store page goes up, and then 6 months, a year, 2 years later, the game actually comes out. And the other platforms,
I think about it, it's a mechanical thing. I mean, the culture emerges from the mechanics of the store.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
And it's always been like that, and so it's just kind of people keep talking about how Valve keeps winning by not doing anything, and I think that's wrong. I think it's that
the other stores are losing by not doing anything.
Yeah, Valve is continuously making improvements all the time, and they're serving the needs of both the developers and the players.
Well, I think they got the core of the thing correct, which is like someone can have an interest in a game and not be able to or not want to purchase it right now. And the fact that you purge those on other platforms, like pre-registrations go away after launch, pre-orders go away after launch, right? So there's no thing where it's like this person wanted to buy this at this point, and now you still have them on a list, but they didn't actually manage to pre-order it like the day of. You don't have those people anymore. But all these things just disappear on launch for any of these other platforms, which is just absurd. I don't understand.
The idea that like, if the moment a game comes out, I don't buy it, right then and there.
Your interest
that means that I'm not interested in it. Yeah. Even though I expressed interest in the past. Yeah. So yeah, like Steam, and I think it looks like Steam isn't doing anything because what they're doing is just continuously improving the same thing, which is just the Steam store experience, right? Other platforms look like they're doing stuff because they keep launching these whole new like initiatives and marketing campaigns, and they like everything is an Xbox and like subscription services and all these other things that because they're viewing like their core store as a problem that can't be solved, and we got to just do other stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Valve is saying, no, we can just keep making the store better, and they just do that. And it's not as flashy, so people on the outside are like, oh, they're not even doing anything, but like they're just doing a pretty good job at their core competence. So like Steam just
crushing it.
It's just crushing it. And then on kind of to the Wizards of the Coast point, which is this is just like kind of a sub point because we're not really in the tabletop scene, but it was pretty wild just how like basically half of PAX East was people playing Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Well, and then of what was left, because that was half of like the floor space, right?
Yeah.
It was like, but for all the booths that were around, I don't know, probably a third of the booths were selling things related to tabletop RPGs.
Yeah,
D&D, dice.
Yeah, tons of dice. Yep. So that was sick. We also got to see a ton of really cool cosplay. Which is not something we normally get to see. Like people don't cosplay at GDC or Dice or whatever, because this is this is a fan focused event. And so we did have kind of some funny exchanges where I was thinking about like, okay, because we have not yet hit the status where like people cosplay as characters from our games. We haven't hit that level of mainstream, right?
Our characters are also challenging to cosplay since they are full cartoon, right? That's a hard cosplay category to go into.
Well, that's not going to stop people. I think the bigger problem is we only really have like one human in our games. To me, that's the bigger problem. But with how many dudes, I was like, the funny thing about how many dudes is basically it's 42 different, just like sort of unrelated characters. But
it's like going into a Halloween shop, just being like, here's a costume for
that's true.
For what? Yeah.
So like I was like, if you were at a convention and you saw a group of like 4 people, and one of them is dressed up as a farmer, and one of them is dressed up as a Spartan, and one
as long as their
ninja.
color palette was matching, then you'd be like,
it's like.
Yeah, because
So
like,
actually-
is this YMCA or is this...
right.
Yeah, because it's kind of like by them being together all in cosplay, but in things that appear to be completely unrelated, that's how many dudes. That's how many dudes cosplay. So it's like maybe someday, But otherwise,
the Godot switch.
Yeah, we just see a lot of Godot stuff.
Yeah,
That's pretty
so
big.
I guess my vibe on that one is like Unity used to be the thing that was just like you'd always see.
Every game.
Every single
Every
game
game was Unity.
And then there was like toward the end, at the very last convention to like Unreal's been popping off, but as I think people played with it more in the last couple of years, it's faded a bit. I think because like the reality of just how heavy of an engine it is. Because it's better for
It's made for AAA
big
games.
AAA stuff, right?
That's
and
the
so
purpose,
it,
yeah.
it has like a bunch of bulk.
And in a
coming
weird way, it's like out of the box, it has a lot of pretty specific sort of like lighting styles and shaders and things like that, where if you aren't going in and purposely deciding to change those things and sort of shift the style of the rendering to something else, then your game's just going to look like an Unreal Engine game. And it's this weird thing where even if you use a different kind of a style for your 3D models or whatever, as soon as people see it, it's like, oh, okay, it's Unreal Engine. And then also people kind of write it off as like, okay, it's probably not going to be well optimized and it's probably gonna. And I even like there's that game Fellowship that was like the WoW Mythic Plus only
Dungeons
game.
only, yeah.
It's doing okay, but I had gotten invited into their alpha test, and that's an Unreal Engine game. I got invited into their alpha test, and I have a pretty good PC. And my video, I actually I had to stop playing after about 20 minutes because I was really worried at how hot my PC was getting. Like it was, the fans were just fucking roaring, and like I touched the side of my case. I was like, oh fuck, that's really hot, and so I was worried that I was going to damage my PC for playing this thing. And that's an experience that like anybody who's played Unreal Engine games has probably had at some point. And so I think there's been this pivot over to Godot.
It's really interesting to see. Like honestly, if I was Unity, I'd be shaking my boots. They had like their big misstep with all the IP stuff, and then with Godot being frankly turning into like a powerhouse engine. It's like I don't know, that trend seems to me to be possible to reverse, right? Because again, like the only reason it would be more important to be on something like Unity or Unreal is if like platform access to SDKs and stuff like that for consoles or something that everybody needed.
It's a ecosystem maturity thing, right? Because Godot, it's not. I don't even know if it's newer, but it's like it's more freshly popular, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so, and open source doesn't mean less robust. Sometimes it means more robust, right? It always depends on the details of the project.
Well, it's mostly like a legal thing, though, right? Where it's like it's hard to have an open source project that has interacts with closed source components, which you have to sign a bunch of papers to do Xbox stuff. You just sign a bunch of stuff and get access to SDKs to do Nintendo stuff and PlayStation. And so it's like the way those interact is a little bit complex. But
I think it just makes Steam win more.
That's what I mean. It's if the consoles were actually if the consoles were all crushing it and everybody wanted access to them, then it would be a problem for something like Godot, right? Because you'd be like, well, I'm not just going to develop just for PC. But because the consoles aren't, I mean, they're, again, like they all have their own things going on, but like for your average indie, you're not a particular high target.
And you can use Godot for these other platforms.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
But I don't, it's not, I'm not sure
the
what the current
machinations of that, I don't know.
Yeah, but I know the last time I talked to people who were doing it, they were basically farming that work out to porting houses and stuff, and that shit is extremely expensive.
Yeah.
And so it's not you don't want to be in a place if you can help it where your engine doesn't support all the targets that you want, because if that's true, because like we talk about this a lot, there's always the incremental gain of going to a new market or whatever, right? Because if it's the case that I could boost my sales by 10%, 20%, whatever, by going to a console, just as a number. Right?
It sounds good.
Sounds great.
The cost, right?
It's going to cost you $100,000 to port over to it, though. So maybe can you earn that back with that extra 10%? Right?
Is there a way there? Yeah. And it to me, it kind of just speaks to like the old model of the games industry was get up on your high horse. That was right. So like if you're a console, it's like try to keep low quality games from getting onto your platform. Have a lot of exclusives and charge as much as possible for the experience. Whether that's like charge people to use online multiplayer, or whatever. And that works if you're actually maintaining quality.
Well, right? if people who publish stuff on your platform make enough money,
I think that's the difference.
The bullshit.
Well, not even that. It's just like because it's if it's a curated high quality place to be, then like players are willing to go there to buy stuff and things will sell. And if you make something high quality and good, then you can be confident that you're not going to be competing with an ocean of garbage, whatever. But the funny thing is, like the consoles right now, I feel like they're all trying to have their cake and eat it too, which is they're all just flooded with asset flips and AI slop games.
And so is Steam, right?
So Steam store works.
It's a different
Steam
store
keeps it suppressed.
Well, this is the thing. Steam doesn't. They know their SDK isn't closed source. You don't have to like go through talk to a bunch of lawyers or something to like put your game on there. It costs like $100 to put your game up.
Yeah,
right?
I mean it's basically the case. Like if you're porting, if doing console results in maybe, and again this is like it's actually on the high end from what we understand, maybe a 10% increase in overall sales revenue
relative to Steam.
Yeah. So again, that's pretty common, like rough thing.
This is speaking from an indie perspective. Yes. Like for AAA, maybe it's a different calculus, but
I think it is different calculus. Yeah. But for indies, then it's weird because of how cumbersome that whole experience remains.
The ask is so large, given it's true with working with like the App Store too, right? The difficulty of dealing with, it's like, you can only build on Mac hardware, and you have to sign everything with these certificates, and those expire every 6 months for funsies, and the tedium and complexity of being on a store should be proportional to
the game,
how well it does.
So it's just, right? So it's insane that like the easiest place to publish your game, which is Steam, is also by far where you make the most money, right? It's like if these other places, like if you're making it hard to get games on there, but then you're also not curating anything, you're not like keeping out the crap, and also you're not helping people actually sell games to the players, then it's just the worst of everything. Right? And so it's obvious then why like why like Godot is popping off. Steam is just continuously winning, right? And we
Well, I would
just
say
saw
from,
that
like,
over
the-
and over again.
From the LudoKit standpoint, we can see this too, right? Because like right now, LudoKit supports. I mean, by supports, I mean the features apply to. Right? So it supports Steam, Android, iOS, Xbox, and kind of Switch, right? But those last two, it's very little, right?
Yeah.
It does not support PlayStation. And the only reason it supports Switch is because all we needed, because we have access to Switch, so we know what the backend is. We have access to the closed source documentation, because even the documentation for these things is closed, right? So Xbox made theirs public a few years ago, which means if I'm like, hey, how do achievements work on all the platforms so that I could come up with a unified way to represent them? And it's like,
for some reason,
I can't get that information for PlayStation. I can't. And it would be
As if-
literally
as if, like-
illegal for somebody to give
the
it to
fucking
me.
Manhattan Project. Like you're selling video games, man. Get over yourself.
Yeah. It's so dumb.
Like, what do we do?
So, but that's the thing with these like really closed ecosystems. So,
Yeah.
to literally everybody else's credit, I'm pretty sure PlayStation at this point, and PlayStation and Nintendo are the only like, even our docks are closed platforms. I think at this point, everybody else over time has been like, this is dumb and not helping anybody. So
It's recognizing where like
Open
where
it up.
proprietary means that you get value from it versus where proprietary actually means you lose value, right? And
yeah,
to
well,
me,
because that's the thing, right? Because if you're a PlayStation and you're like, there are these game engines for people to make to make games for your stuff, and you're like, well, we don't want to make it possible for you to easily get on the store, right?
Mhm.
Even though that's not where the gatekeeping isn't happening at game build time, right? It's happening when you try to put a game on the store. So
But then the problem
why
is like
make
once,
that part hard? It
like
doesn't
once
make
you're
any
on
sense.
there. So there was an article in, I think it was in How to Market a Game, maybe Chris Sikowski's blog or something, about these companies that they get onto PlayStation, and just every few days they're publishing like an AI slop game, and they'll just be jam packed with like achievements and stuff like that, because people just farm achievements for some reason on these platforms, just like make number go up. And they'll sell the game for like 99 cents or whatever. And, to Sony's credit, like they're going through and they're
They
trying
did a big
to
purge
track these
recently.
down and
Yeah.
ban these people. But at the same time, like there's a cert process.
Yeah, why? Did
Like
they get
there's
on there in the first place?
people.
It's so confusing that's like that it's
How are
all
they-
those are getting through.
How are they getting there? And the list of games that this company had, it must have been like 80 games or something.
Mhm.
And it's like, and that's just one company. So it's kind of like once you get through all the initial administrative hurdles to get your account set up and start being able to publish games, and then I guess at that point, just the floodgates are open and you can
Well, I
just
think-
start
yeah, I think
barfing
that is
games
that-
out onto
That
the
super
store.
annoyance of dealing with cert processes, right? For exactly this reason, is how legalistic they are, right? Because the question is like, what are these cert processes for, right? And you as a developer or as a player would think, oh, this is to make sure that
Good
only
games
stuff
come
that
up.
is good comes onto the store. That's not what it's for at all. It's a creativity free process and a basically technical and bureaucratic one, which is, hey, are you violating any of our rules around our brand guidelines, right? And
Are you utilizing our tech stack in the proper way, like with cloud saving?
it's
or,
that
whatever.
kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
right.
And so as long as you can
Which
check
again,
those
like
boxes,
that has a place, but it's weird that then there's
It's
no
useful,
follow
and it's important. but it's weird that there's not a component of it that's like any level of any kind of let's keep obvious.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, it's
well,
like
then-
if every game on your store rigorously adheres to your cloud saving standards, but is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Then what-
get
then what
it.
is it for?
I get it from a platform standpoint though, of saying like, well, we don't want to be, because historically all platforms have been. The gatekeepers have also specifically what goes on, not just did this meet our technical thresholds, right? And also, as everyone has discovered, like that is not very effective because you kick out stuff you shouldn't have.
Can't pick winners,
It's a political process. You can't pick winners, and you also can't specify, because it's a volume problem as always, right? You can't really articulate guidelines that any two people would apply the same way to a creative work like a video game. And so what everybody has done is, and I think reasonably, given up trying to do that, right? But you can't just give up there. You have to also then deal with the consequences of the sheer volume of shit
Yes.
on your platform, right?
Which, I think it's what's strange to me about all this is like it doesn't seem like it would be that crazy of like an initiative to focus on things like wish list, store algorithmic stuff, right? in order to, because that is the method to combat the flood, actually, right?
But
letting games
again,
surface at different times.
this comes back to this idea that like as a company, you can either sort of like set yourself up with the most leverage possible, or you can empower other people, right? And so like in Steam's case, they're just like, hey, we're just going to give developers as many tools as possible so that they themselves can push their own games and interact with their own players and blah, blah, blah. And every other company says, well, we can't have that, because if we're not in the middle of that exchange, then we might be missing out on money, right? And so if the developers can just bypass us and talk straight to their players, they could say anything, they could do anything, and also they don't need us anymore, or they could even like maybe bring their players to another platform or tell them about other platforms, or there's always things that could happen. And so instead, it's like put a wall of silence between the players and the developers, and don't allow the developers to dictate any terms of their own engagement, right? And just
But I think you can kind of see how in this era, I mean, things like there's already been too many games out for years, and what I mean by that is in terms of just like too many relative to the infrastructure that is able to support them effectively in terms of surfacing them. I don't mean too many in terms of like just creative endeavors. No, I'm talking like just too many.
Yeah, ideally, every game that
right?
exists could be out in the market, and find success.
Right? But I think the stores themselves are not able to keep up. And I don't know, I just think it's fascinating. It's like it is only getting worse. And I think there's some numbers that came out for the App Store recently, where there's some report like I think they've had like 50% more apps published in the last year since all the vibe coding stuff happened.
Vibe code.
Yeah, apps I don't doubt it, because you can vibe code an app that does exactly one thing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it includes games. I think they include games in that category, right? It's like just like
I think games are still harder to vibe code in the sense that there's you can have an app that like converts one thing into another thing.
It's not functional, right? So it ends up
there's more overall. So I think you're gonna be seeing a lot of both. But yeah, my bet is they're just drowning in apps and
to-do list apps. It's so funny. Anytime people are talking about, oh yeah, like you can use Claude to make your own to-do list app. I don't know why this keeps coming up. Like, how many people want to homebrew their own bespoke to-do list? It's just that. Do that. Yeah, anyway, but so otherwise, like, so the trip was great. We another kind of thing that popped out was on the indie side, everybody's new.
Yeah.
Or rather, everybody demoing it.
Everybody demoing was new.
There were a couple established studios, but mostly it was.
Yeah, there are like 3 teams, like 3 or 4 teams who've been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
Most of the stuff they were demoing though was the same game that they've had out for like 5.
They have a successful game and they're boothing to give their fans something to see in real life.
Right? Yeah, just to meet people and hang out. So it's like a slightly different angle on it. But yeah, that was fascinating. And I think when we. And I part of this again is the question of like the difference between like a PAX East versus PAX West, right? In terms of travel, also just like the maturity of the industry on each coast, which how easy it is to pop in. So there's a big bit of nuance there, right? But it was interesting because the last time we went to PAX West, I think, which would have been 2017, 2018, there was like Supergiant, there was I think Clay had a booth maybe, and Google Play was set up there.
Hand of Fate people.
Yep. So there are a bunch of studios who are like on their sequel or multiple games in. Basically, in other words, like very mature operations where they weren't working with the publisher. It was just them, right? So here we saw basically publisher booths, a lot of publisher booths, and then first timers, which is just fascinating because a lot of stuff we've talked about as far as the value of attending conferences or conventions in particular, boothing at a conference or at a convention, is mostly that like it potentially gives you access to business contacts, and then you can use it to playtest, right? Like especially the opening experience of a game. There are other ways to playtest that are way cheaper though, so it's not the first thing I would do. I would just put a mailing list up and put a short up and get Discord people to do it. So it's not like
or talk to your local library and be like, hey, can I do a little demo? Here, when I demo my game, and there are ways to do it. Even if you don't have like a direct access to people who already like care, there are still ways to do it that will cost a lot less way more money and time. Yeah.
So then you move into like, okay, well then you get to meet with platforms and stuff there. But something like PAX East, none of the platforms really show up. And so that's not really happening there either. So then that's like, okay, maybe you get to interface with influencers or press. So again, like these megaphone moments, but they're not really. There's some press there, but the presence didn't seem super heavy, and the influencers don't walk around booths anyways, so it's not really a thing. So I don't know. It was like
there also aren't really big like PAX. At least PAX East, I don't know, but I think PAX in general, it's not really known for like big announcements and stuff, right? And that's usually the kind of stuff that press is like, because they want to be. The whole thing about press is like be first, have the exclusive.
Well, you want news, right? News.
Yeah, you want news, right? And so yeah, there's just less of that, but you still have the discovery process because a lot of, especially more modern games journalism, is the value proposition they add is, hey, there's infinite shit now, so like maybe we could try to surface some of that for you, right? And so a lot of them go to stuff like this to be like, oh yeah, I think this stuff is going to be good. Let me get in early talking about this stuff, right?
Yeah, so I don't know. It's like first timers. Then we were asking, a lot of times we were talking to the devs, we're like, what are you hoping to get out of the show? And I think most of them had their heads on straight about what it was for, right? Which is like playtesting and just kind of seeing.
Yeah, I feel like it was kind of half and half, at least for the people that I talked to, of like,
yeah, and like shoot the shit with their devs. Some of them were actually seeing good wishlist uptake too, which I think that culture's changed enough that you might actually get like I don't know, like maybe 500 plus wishlist from doing one of these things. Which when we did it back, it was not. We did get like hardly anything, right? Nothing certainly not worth the expense.
Yeah, bang for your buck. That's not.
Yeah, it's just not very high, right? And so yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's interesting. It's like, okay, what does that mean then about if established studios are not attending? Is it just the regional aspect, which would very well be? If we go to PAX West, I assume there's going to be more there. Is it because the platforms themselves don't really show up to PAX East, right? It's like Microsoft doesn't. There's not an Xbox person there for you to go shoot the shit with, which would make it so that more established studios are.
Could also be a general change post-COVID of people not doing. Because if you remember too, like back in when we were going to the stuff, right, when we would talk to other devs, there were many of them, and I'm pretty sure including like, remember like, was it Supergiant or Behemoth, one of the two, had this enormous booth that was like very complicated and very unwieldy, and they had to like construct it whenever they went somewhere, right? And they were going to all of the stuff and then like rebuilding the thing, and that was like part of what we talked about then, right? And a lot of the people that we talked to were basically like they were on tour in effect, right? Where they were going to everything, like event after event after event. And at the time, and we talked about this a lot at the time of the podcast too, we were watching that happen, and we had our own experiences going to conventions being like, this didn't really seem to add up to anything. And then we would talk to those people about just the sheer amount of time and money they were spending doing this stuff and be like, does this add up? And they could never give us an answer that felt like it did. And so part of what I wonder is kind of like those studies where like some company is like, hey, let's just slash our marketing budget for a bit, and they like cut a third of it out and then see no effect, right? Like I'm also wondering if like during the early pandemic years when people couldn't go to anything and they got to basically take a beat and not spend all that money, not spend all that time, and then see that nothing seemed to change. Did we just like kind of change the face of what these events look like forever with respect to devs investing their time?
Yeah, I just think about it as it's very similar to like Coca-Cola's advertising, right? Where it's like it's basically just sort of planting your flag and being like, hey everybody, we're here, right? It's just kind of like making your presence known and making sure that you're kind of like top of mind for people. But yeah, the expense of boothing is just astronomical. I mean, I'm trying to imagine like if you did like wrote a book and you go on a book tour, and then it's like you have to spend $50,000 for every library you go to talk about your book, right? And it's like that's basically what boothing is for conventions. Yeah, so I mean, ultimately, I don't know what the point is of boothing, and I think a lot of people are also questioning that. So yeah, it's probably why we just saw so many new people who haven't maybe done it before, or they haven't gone through the calculus of trying to figure out like what will we get out of this? Because there's always that kind of I remember like back when we first started making games, we had this idea that like we go to one of these things, all these influencers will be there, all these players will be there, everybody's gonna be playing our game, it's gonna go crazy, and then you you'd look at your wish list or your sales numbers, and it'd be like this little teeny tiny bump, if anything. And it's like, yeah, because.
But I think it's the idea too that it feels just deeply unbelievable that somebody
so many people would
hey,
be doing this. And
also that because that's basically what these things also are advertising, right? It's like, hey, show your game to players, right?
Mhm.
And so the idea that they would do that and it's going to cost you $5,000 or whatever it is,
even if you don't have to travel and you got, I think the booths are like $1,000 to me, maybe like 10.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and depending on
at least $1,000
how big of a space and where it is and which convention you're going to, all this kind of stuff, right? But like the cheapest ones that we did for like some really small events were like $500, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but the idea that somebody would be like, hey, we have 80,000 people streaming through this convention over this weekend. Come show your game. It's extremely valuable to do that. That's why you can come show your game. And also that's why we charge you $5,000 or whatever, right? The idea that all of this apparatus is set up and it's advertising to you this is true and it costs this much and it makes these claims, it just seems unbelievable that you would then go do it and discover that it doesn't add up to anything, right?
Yeah.
And
So I'm curious. I think I'm with how the wishlist culture has changed. I do wonder, and some of the devs I talked to said that they can see that they get like a couple hundred wish lists, per day maybe while being at these things. But I don't know how much that is like basically people following it via the QR code there versus other mechanisms by which, because like Steam also, oftentimes these events have tie-ins with Steam. It's part of their
but that's a small enough number that it's not surprising to me that it's QR codes at the event, right? Because that's a conversion of like thousands of people walking by our booth being like, oh, that looks interesting. Right. Scan wish list, right?
Right. But for opportunity cost standpoint, I guess your point's valid, which is like,
so expensive.
If we make a short, we can get 500 wish lists from a short, which takes like 4 to 6 hours.
We don't need to buy plane tickets. We don't need to reserve space. We don't need to get sick for afterwards. A week. It's probably, it's like, I guess boothing is like the PlayStation of promotion, right? Where it's like, it's really hard and expensive to get in there and do it. And then there's not really much of a payoff.
I think if you're like local to it, and so you don't have like a lot of the extra costs of like travel, then it's kind of it could be a different calculus. But I think in our minds now, it's always just for basically touching grass and meeting up with other devs and stuff. Yeah.
Like if you got the budget, if you got the budget for it, if you're not needing it to sort of make a difference and you just want to get out and interface with your players and fans and just kind of have a presence, then just do it for fun, but if you're trying to make a business case for it, I don't know. I think
it's hard. It's hard to find the business case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm curious if other devs listening to this, if you've had experience at one of these conventions where you did get noticeable uptick. What was that like? Because part of the other thing with our own experience and what we've seen with like how many dudes is that there's some game dependency with all these marketing channels, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I'm very curious about that. Like if other devs have gone to it, and not the whole I'm not asking if you would say it was worth it or whatever. I'm just saying like from a hard number standpoint, right? Like, do you get?
And this is also part of like the challenge with this stuff is because again, it's already unbelievable that it wouldn't be worth it, right? And the people who don't know yet that it's not worth it are people who haven't done it, right? So you're gonna be biased. That's a lot of why you're biasing towards new people, right? But those very same people have a very different understanding of what good
relative
is.
Potency. Yes, yeah. I mean, a lot of the devs we talked to had maybe didn't even have a short page up. Some of them, but oftentimes like the number of wish lists that people were telling me they had was like I think the highest one I heard was 8,000.
Yeah,
the highest one, right? And there was a couple of other games that are much bigger, right? That there's still indies that we didn't talk to that I know do have like 200,000 wish lists or whatever. But for the most part, it's like it's people with like less than 1,000 wish lists oftentimes, at least from the ones.
So then it is true that like getting a couple hundred wish lists over the thing is a big relative change, right? And I wouldn't say don't be excited about this stuff, especially if you're new. Or like we were in our early days, we were extremely excited when we got 50 people to do something, right? So it's not to say that there's anything that's like is a problem with that. But the problem is you have an outsized sense of how impactful that stuff is when you're used to the numbers being really small.
Well, again, by the numbers, 100 wish lists, they're going to convert at a 20 or 30% rate. Maybe you're selling your game for $15, so you're getting like a couple $100 a day of revenue from the wish lists generated by the convention, right? And so if it's going to cost you several $1,000s and 5 days of work just being there, and then that's not including the work around it and the lost time being sick afterward, it's like it's going to cost you $10,000 and you're going to get 800.
Yeah, and that's for like the direct part, right? Because the part that then remains nebulous, which again is why people get to maintain
the idea that maybe it's worth it,
right? Yeah, is that you can get lucky because the right person shows up. Otherwise, wouldn't have known about your thing. And the same way that like we got lucky with How Many Dudes demo, where a huge YouTube channel picked it up and then kicked off a cascade of other large YouTube channels, right? The chance stuff applies everywhere you go, right? And it applies at these events too. And I think one of the big differences being that that there's also the business, the biz dev stuff and the developer community stuff that can happen at events like this that can't happen in like digital only things.
Yeah, that's the real
However, do you need to be shown a booth to make those things happen, right?
Yes.
Or can you just attend like we did? But also if you care about those bits, probably you should be going to PAX West and GDC and DICE. Yeah, the things where all of the developers and business people go rather than
as opposed to fan-facing events. Yes. More so. So I mean, overall, it was. I think it was worth it. It was a lot of fun, just to like get out there and and we did meet with platform partners, and we did a lot of business stuff, and we got a good pulse on things, and and I feel like we just got a pretty good sense of what's going on. We just peeked our head up and looked around a bit. So super fun. And that's all the time we have for this week's episode. We'd like to thank our producers, Fat Bard and Sampa DaCosta, for putting the podcast together, and thanks to our community moderators who keep our Discord running. To get more involved in the Butterscotch community, just go to podcast.bscotch.net, where we have links to the Discord, a way for you to donate to support the podcast, and links to the archives. And if you haven't yet, head on over to Steam, pick up a copy of the demo for How Many Dudes. We are blazing through dev and adding tons of cool stuff. So if you haven't checked out the demo yet, it's still good. So check it out and start to prepare yourself mentally for the launch, whenever that may be. So thank you all for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.